All right, welcome to the basement. We have a selection of multi-tools here we're going to talk about. First one, I can't remember the name of this, but it's made by Victorinox. It's a Swiss Army knife for kids, actually. And here's the main blade. It's blunted, so there's no tip, but this blade is razor sharp. Okay, so it's not a toy. Another thing that's unique about this one is the blade locks. So if you're thinking about getting a present for a younger adult or like a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old and you want to give them a Swiss Army knife, this is a good choice. Locking blade, no tip, and you can still actually do stuff with it. It also has a file and a nail pick. This also works as a Phillips screw for small Phillips screws, and it does also have a saw. Again, a little kid can definitely cut themselves with that saw. It's a serious saw, but it cuts well. It does what it needs to do. The only thing on here that locks is the main blade. Nothing else does. And then you do actually have a dedicated Phillips head screwdriver right there. So cool. Again, I don't remember what the name of this one is, but if you look up like Victorinox Kids Swiss Army Knife, this will pop up. And I'm making a video, bud. Then you have a toothpick here. You have a tweezer there. And then you've got a key ring loop here. And yeah, so that's for kids. Leatherman used to make a great multi-tool for kids, but they discontinued it. And, obviously this can work fine for adults too. There's no reason not to. If you don't need a sharp pointed tip on your knife and you'd like a locking blade, because locking blades are just way safer than non-locking blades, great choice. Yeah, easy enough to find on your own. Okay, this is called the Victorinox Tinker. There's another one called the Super Tinker that's bigger. All right, you can see how these compare side to side. These are very similar in size. The Tinker is just a little bit longer, so the blades are a little bit longer, and then it's a little bit thinner. This one has these ergonomic shapes in the handles. These are very lightweight, very small, extremely capable, far more capable than the average person would ever even begin to know. Flathead screwdriver, bottle cap lifter. They call that a wire stripper. I'm sure it works for that purpose, but if I'm stripping a wire, I don't use that. I do it a different way. This is a flat blade / combination Phillips tool. So it works either one. Phillips 1s, that will not work, but Phillips 2 or Phillips 3, that will work. This is a can opener. Again, non-locking. None of the blades or features on the Victorinox Tinker lock. You have a large main blade. These Victorinox blades are excellent blades. They get razor sharp. If you can sharpen a knife, you can sharpen these things to the point where it's just like a razor blade. The downside to them is because the steel is tough steel. It's not hard steel. It does not hold that edge for a really long time. So you just have to be willing to do a lot of sharpening. However, because it's tough steel, it sharpens up really sharp really fast. So that's nice. So if you're comfortable touching up blades, these are a great option. Obviously, you have a small blade over here. This one's great for like cutting tape on boxes or cutting up boxes and stuff. So you can dull this one up on cardboard and keep this one sharp for whatever it is you're going to do in the world. But you have two blades, and that is such a nice feature. Obviously, you have to use a fingernail to open them, so they're not going to be a one-handed opening type situation. On the back side here, we have a Phillips head screwdriver, the exact same as the one on this kids style one here. And then next to the Phillips screwdriver, you have an awl, and it does have a hole in it, so you could like sew something. These awls are excellent. I actually like the awls for cleaning under my fingernails, but they're great for drilling holes and stuff. I mean, they really do. And I have done that in the field many times where I've had to put a hole in a tube or, to fix a little gizmo or gadget, poke something. I mean, they just so handy. I have put a Tech Accessories a P7 suspension clip where you would normally attach it to a key ring. And that I put it in my back pocket and it just hangs there. And this is what I carry with me when I'm not working. So if I'm just at home and I'm doing my dad's stuff, this is my multi-tool of choice most of the time. Great choice. Victorinox Tinker, usually they're between $20 and $40. The next one is a little bit less capable than the Tinker, but it's Much nicer. It's much, well, not nicer, but slimmer. And it has aluminum sides instead of these plastic sides. You can see that I have used a piece of tape to secure the same clip that I use on my Tinker on this one. So it, obviously does not come that way with a pocket clip. And there are other ways to attach pocket clips to these, but that's just the way that I did it. And I pulled the keyring attachment out. So the Cadet is a little bit more expensive than the Tinker and a little bit less capable. So same as the Tinker, it has the cap lifter, the flat blade, the combo Phillips flat with the can opener, and then it has this a very similar large blade. It's a little bit smaller than the one on the Tinker. And then it also has the, shut these. And then it also has the nail file, nail pick slash Phillips 1 driver on it right there. Again, everything's non-locking on this. The reason I would go with one of these over the Tinker is just because you absolutely hate carrying things like this. And it's like a last-ditch thing where you just want a tool, a useful tool on you to be as unobtrusive and to just melt into your pocket. And this is the one. There's other A-Lock series knives from Victorinox. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but the Cadet is universally respected as one of the best. So the Tinker and the Cadet are like two of my absolute favorite tools, period, ever. The next one actually has my last name embroidered on it, or not embroidered. It's not a shirt. It's engraved. And you can actually see a little hole. I drilled in it right there because I was going to mount a pocket clip to it. And then I decided against that for whatever reason. I don't remember why. This is, in my opinion, the best multi-tool of all time. And it is the Victorinox Spirit. I don't care what version of the Spirit you get. You can get the MXBS, you can get the MX, you can get the MX Clip, you can get the S, you can get, I don't care. There's a bunch of different versions. I'm not really doing a comprehensive review of any one tool here. If you want to see breakdowns of individual tools, I would go to TX Tool Crib. That's TXTOOLCRIB. He's a YouTube channel. Put that in the YouTube search bar. He'll pop up. He does comprehensive reviews on tools, and he's the best there is, period. I've seen a lot on YouTube. There are other people who do a decent job. Most of the people who review multi-tools on YouTube are like, they're not serious tradespeople, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they're coming at it from an angle where they're looking at like a survival tool, or like it's more of like a toy almost, like a just in case or a backup. Like, for me, these are serious tools for serious work, and I use these for working on cars and working on buildings and all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, I actually use these in the field as a paid professional. So my use case is a little bit different. And TX Tool Crib, that's his use case. He's a metal worker. I believe he's a millwright actually by trade. And so the guy's out in the field, man, and he travels all over the place doing serious work, and he uses these and puts them through their paces. So check out his reviews. I'm just doing quick overviews here. Victorinox Spirit. I don't remember what the letter is that comes after this one. It's the most basic model that they make. It's a really nice tool for a number of reasons. One is all of the tools are accessible from the outside. So you have your large driver, your cap lifter, your wire stripper, or wire bender maybe is what that is. Then you have your hook. It's like for carrying stuff. I wonder if anybody ever actually really uses that for anything, but you never know. Like if you're trying to pull a piece of wire real hard, it's probably easier on your hands if you loop it through that and hold the multi-tool. This is an awl. There's no hole through it, but it's for drilling holes or cleaning your nails in my case, often. And then one of the things that's so awesome about this tool is this one right here, this specific tool right here. It's got a chisel. It has an edge for getting into boxes, or just blunt instrument where you don't want to dull your knife. It's got a cable cutter, and that's the wire stripper right there. Fantastic. We have the blade. This has a blunted tip blade. It is a serrated blade. This is same as the Swiss Army knives. The steel gets razor sharp, but you got to sharpen it all the time. It does not hold the edge well. So I've sharpened this a lot. I've actually sharpened it so much that I'm starting to see a recession here on the serrations, because I actually just sharpen this like a regular knife. I don't sharpen it like a serrated knife. So over time, eventually the serrations are going to kind of disappear on this guy. But it is an excellent cutting tool. If you don't need a pointed tip, I like this one. One of the things I like about this one is my wife works in the school. So if I decide to go into the school and visit her and I take this in with me, you know, nobody's going to give me a hard time about like carrying a knife in a school or something, because for one thing, it's attached to a multi-tool, and for another thing, it's a blunted tip. Like, who am I going to stab with it? You know, it's very obvious that this is a tool and not a weapon. So I guess if somebody wanted to get real technical, they could make a problem out of it. But, you know, I try to be pretty good about emptying my pockets before I go into a school. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, there's also a wood cutting saw here. Excellent saw, very effective. And that is all the tools on this side. They all lock, by the way. Every tool locks. And here's the lock here. So it's stuck. You pull this back. There it goes. We have a Phillips head. This is an excellent Phillips driver. Lots of reach. Same thing as the Swiss Army knives. It's got that Phillips flathead tool on the end and the can opener. We have a small flathead. That's a great flathead screwdriver right there. Comes in handy periodically. Scissors. These scissors are not the best scissors because they don't open very far and they're really small, but they cut so well. I mean, these cut better than most actual scissors. The problem is, you know, actual scissors are a lot bigger, so these just are not suited for certain tasks because of how small they are. And I'm not a big scissors guy either. I don't use scissors a lot, but when I have used these scissors, man, they're beasts. And then here's another great tool on this is the file. It's actually a metal cutting saw on the end here. And then you have a single cut file, and then you have a cross cut file. Let's see, and that's the single cut file right there. Oh yeah, this is the cross cut file. It's a little bit less aggressive. And this is the single cut file, and it's a lot more aggressive. So also works excellent. I work with metal a lot, so the file is a useful tool. So to deploy the pliers, you unfold it, and you have kind of a blunted tip needle nose profile. You can tell I've used these a lot, many years of use. You have wire cutters here. You have regular plier jaws here. And one of the things that is so great about these Victorinox pliers is the way they shape these handles and the gap they leave in here. It is much more difficult to pinch the fat of your palm inside this gap than it is with like Leatherman and other brands. So this particular set of pliers was $90. Now, everything's getting more expensive since when I bought it. So I have no idea what these are costing these days. So you're looking at somewhere between 25 and 40 bucks for a Tinker. You're looking at like 35 to 40 bucks for a Cadet, and you're looking at 90 plus for the Victorinox Spirit. Now, there are other multi-tools made by Leatherman that are high quality tools that I wouldn't hesitate to use. They're just, I don't think they're as good as the Spirit. So if you're looking for more budget options, I'm sorry I don't have more in front of me, but they're out there. You know, Leatherman's a great brand. I'm not huge on Gerber and SOG. It's not because I think they make trash. It's just I've never used them. So I don't recommend them to anybody because I don't have any experience. The last multi-tool we're going to look at is the Leatherman Free P2. Now, I actually got this for free. Thank God, because these things are super expensive. They're anywhere from 120 to 140 bucks. And they are not worth a single cent at that price. I wouldn't pay more than 70 bucks for one of these. You know, there are people who love these things and swear by them for reasons I'll show you in a moment. It's a fine tool. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very pocketable. It's very usable. But the quality of the actual implements is like laughable compared to how good the Victorinox tool is, and even compared to how other Leatherman tools are. So we'll go through it again real quick. You have a combination serrated and non-serrated blade there. It locks. All the tools lock right here. Anything you stick out. So the feature that people really just love about this is the way you access the tools. You don't have to dig them out. You can just hit them with your hand and they kind of fold out. And that, I have to say, that's nice. But the thing of it is, the actual tools that come out, for the most part, suck. The one exception is this flathead screwdriver here. I don't have to use a lot of flathead screwdrivers, but this is a great flathead screwdriver. In fact, it may be the best flathead screwdriver I've ever used on a multi-tool, because look how thick and sturdy it is. It also has this cutting edge. It's like a box, you know, getting into boxes and cutting up clamshell plastic cases and stuff. And then you have a Phillips head, which this Phillips head is, it's fine, but it's not awesome. And then it has a cap lifter for getting into your beer bottle or whatever right there. And then on this other side, again, you can kind of fan out your tools. You have your can opener. That's basically all that does, is open cans. Like, I actually do use these can openers, not as much as I used to, but like almost everyone else has a can opener that can do other things. And like, for example, the Victorinox can opener, I use it as a can opener like one time out of 100, and the other 99 times I use it as a screwdriver. This one here also has an awl. So there's actually like a little cutting edge here, and it's got a little flathead screwdriver tip on the end. It's a combination flathead driver and awl. It's the worst freaking awl you will ever use on a multi-tool. It's almost pointless, and it's the only tool on this that I've broken. I broke it doing a pretty simple task, and it's too weak, and it isn't sharp enough at the tip to do the kind of job that I would expect out of a quality awl. So the awl on the Victorinox tools, hands down, way better. This is like a flathead and a depth gauge, they call it, so you can measure. There's no actual numbers on the depth gauge. There are hash marks, so you know you can figure out the actual depth if you want. But again, totally useless. Like, yeah, and that's a wire bender or wire stripper or something like that. I guess it's totally so far. All the tools on this side have been effectively useless to me personally, which is why I don't care for this tool. And then again, we have yet another flathead screwdriver with a file. Now this file is not a terrible file in terms of the way it cuts, but the problem with it is that it's so damn small. I mean, you could get a file bigger than this in one of these Swiss Army knives. You know, it's just like, what, I mean, for fish hooks, like if you wanted to use it for a fish hook, it'd be great, I guess. But outside of that, it's pretty much useless. Not to mention the fact that the architecture of this tool is magnetic. So if you're filing metal the way that I file metal, because I work with metal a lot, you're going to jam up your magnets full of metal shavings. So I don't know that I'd even really want to file on this tool, but anyway, there you go. And then the scissors. These scissors are pretty damn good. They're not as good as Victorinox scissors, but they're pretty close. And these are nice and big. You can do a lot of cutting with them. Again, I don't use scissors that much, so for me it's kind of a moot point, but when I have had to use scissors, like these ones have been nothing but excellent. I have no complaints. Another feature about these that people like is you bust it open real easy. It just kind of flops. You know, it's very loose and it snaps into place. I have to say, if you have to get to the pliers, these are great pliers, and access to the pliers themselves is fantastic. These wire cutters are replaceable. They're fantastic wire cutters. No complaints on the Leatherman plier head. No complaints on the wire cutters. The ergonomics of these handles suck compared to something like the Spirit. They suck compared to something like the Wave or the Surge. They're just not good. You know, if you pinch real hard on these things, there's hot spots where these locks are and stuff, and it digs into you. The pocket clip is excellent on this. It's the best Leatherman pocket clip they've ever come up with. And the action on the pliers is nice. You know, I'm trying to be as complimentary as I can here, but overall, I think this is just kind of a shitty tool. But, you know, if you have a very specific use case, you know, it might be a good choice for you. Yeah, so that's that. And this is the most expensive tool that we're viewing today. And it's easily the one I would recommend the least. But Leatherman's a great brand. So as far as the quality of the tool goes, like how it's constructed, is it durable? It's as good as it could be. You know, all the problems with this tool are design oriented. They're not in the build. They're not the way that it's built. So, you know, another thing I don't like about this too is if you're trying to drive a screw and you want it elongated, it's flopping back here. You know, it's not stiff. So you're in there and you're trying to, and it's just flopping out on you. Whereas like this guy, and you know, this is how I use these tools more frequently than not. I'm getting into use it as a screwdriver. This one's rock solid. Look, I mean, just rock solid. I don't have to worry about it. So this screwdriver not only works better than that, but the entire tool ergonomically functions in a way that is more conducive to actually using it for driving screws. The one advantage this tool has on almost every other multi-tool is simply access to the tools. If you have to have fast, one-handed access to a tool, this is your option. Just be aware that the tool you will be accessing is a shittier tool than pretty much anything else. So then we have the pocket knives here. I'm not a pocket knife guy. I'm a tool guy. I'm a tradesman. I'm not a woodsman. I'm not a carver. I'm not a, whittling stuff. It's not my thing. I have nothing against that. It's just not my hobby. So I carry these as tools. And I mainly have these knives up, not to like talk about the specifics of these knives, but just because I think it's a nice source of size comparison for the tools. So you can see this Cadet. This is a 2 3/4 inch blade on this guy. Okay, handle to handle when it's folded up. You can see they're not too different. This is a little bit bigger, not a ton. And that's your cutting edge. So that cutting edge versus this cutting edge, right? Small pocket knife, Swiss Army knife. This has a lot more functionality. This is much better to use if all you need is a knife. So there are times when a dedicated pocket knife is just the best solution. That is almost never the case for me specifically. This is a 3.5 inch blade knife. The largest blade that I can legally, I think it's actually 3.4, so it's just under 3.5, but technically it's the largest I can legally carry where I live. And that's the size comparison between a 2 3/4 and a 3.5. You can see this is a much larger knife, much more ergonomic, much more comfortable in the hand, much less comfortable to carry in your pocket because it takes up a lot more space. Here's the little Cadet here. This thing is massive by comparison, right? Obviously the blade, much bigger. The Tinker and the Cadet here, you can tell are very similar in length. The Tinker's just a little bit longer than the Cadet, and it's definitely thicker, right? The multi-tools, these two guys are almost identical in terms of size. The weight's about the same between them. And the Victorinox has a lot more useful utility to it, in my opinion. The last thing we'll talk about before I let you go. Pocket clip is loose. Is holsters. This is not a factory holster for my Victorinox. It does not have a pocket clip, so I use a belt holster when I go to work. This is from a company called Skinth, S-K-I-N-T-H. These are great holsters. This one's magnetic. You can get them with Velcro or buttons. You can get them with belt clips or belt loops, and they have all different sizes, and this one has pockets on the side, pocket on the front. I don't really use any of those pockets because I just carry my multi-tool in there, but those exist. Here's another example of a Skinth sheath. It's bigger. This one has a pocket, or a belt clip, not a belt loop. This one has a loop. So you can take this on and off your belt. It has a larger size overall. It has a lot more spaces and slots inside of it to store things. You can see this one I've got decked out. I've got some mini Knipex pliers and pliers wrench in there. These are great gifts as well. And then I have a little driver set in there. And then I have an Olight i3T flashlight. And there's still room for more stuff. I haven't really actually carried this. I kind of figured out my carry situation after I ordered this sheath. So, yeah, that's that. I guess we'll go over one more thing since I got you on the horn here. Knipex makes great pliers. If you're looking for a tool gift for somebody, the Knipex pliers wrench and the Knipex Cobra, either one's an excellent choice. Knipex does make holsters, so you can, put those on if you're a service repair guy. You can shove those in. I actually leave these two in my everyday carry bag. God, I hate using that term. In my bag, the bag I carry with me everywhere. These live in there in case I need extra pliers. But when I'm at work, what I carry is my Swiss tool in this sheath. This is the nerdiest thing ever. This is let's see, what are these guys? Wycek leather, W-I-C-E-K. I got this on Etsy, Etsy.com. These guys are Polish. They're leather workers, and they're awesome. This is a custom piece. As far as I know, it's the only one they've ever done. It is a small of back plier holster. So I wear it on my jeans. It sits at the bottom of my back, and I have access to my favorite pair of Knipex pliers that I just got. I've used these a decent amount, but you know, they don't have the wear and tear on them like some of these might. And these are called the Twin Grip, I think. And they have an adjustable head. And what's so cool about these is they have a similar jaw to these Cobras. The big difference is in the front. If you look at the front, these have that V-notch on each side. You can take like a bolt head. You know, let's take a look at this. Like pretend this thing's a bolt head. You can actually grab it with the end of these pliers and you can twist it and turn it, break it loose. So if you have a stripped fastener and that fastener is proud of the surface in which it's embedded, you can nip that little bugger like that and twist it right out. It's so awesome. And I work with fasteners and metal all the time. So a pair of pliers like this, so handy. And so Weissach leather, I believe this was like 55 bucks. So that's a great gift idea right there. They all custom make them. They'll make these holsters like this for pliers, wrenches. They'll make them for Cobras. They'll make them for all different kinds of sizes and all sorts of things. And that's a great gift idea for the repair guy in your life. And maybe I keep saying that I'm going to let you go, but it just keeps getting longer. I keep forgetting. I want to show you things. The last thing, I swear to God, the last thing I want to show you. These are the smallest Knipex Cobras that existed until recently. These little 125s. These little 125s are a perfectly fine tool, but they do leave a lot to be desired. These guys are the 100s. How much different they are. So these have nicer handles in terms of use, but this thing can fit in the water catcher pocket on my jeans. And the way these adjust is you have to hit this button and you can adjust the jaw. The way these adjust is you just flip it open, push it down, it'll ratchet back up to the size you want, and you're done. Look at the thickness difference from the front end. These are like, God, they're like twice as thick. So these are really thin, they're really small, they'll fit into all kinds of spaces, and they're really easy to carry on you. So my carry now when I'm not at work, but you know, I'm always fixing stuff, doesn't matter if I'm at work or not, is I carry my Tinker and I carry these guys. And that's, between these two, I'm pretty much, my bases are covered. You know, and I can get a big fastener with these. So that's cool too. Nothing I've shown you today is what I would call a budget item. The least expensive items I showed you today are the Swiss Army knives. They're very affordable. They're very practical. And they're a great gift for almost anybody, because who doesn't need a knife now and then, or a screwdriver now and then? And so, you know, if someone isn't a repairman and you just want to get them something like a Swiss Army knife, it makes a lot of sense. But for the tradesman, the repairman in your life who's just a handy guy, if you know someone who likes to be handy, they're always just helping somebody out or fixing something for someone, or, you know, you see a little kid on the corner, they're having trouble with their bike, their seat's loose, and you're that person, or you know that person who's just going to go over there and fix that for that kid on the spot without having to go get tools. This is the kind of stuff that those people like. And I can, you know, speak for myself. I love that. But it's, you know, it can be hard to pick that kind of stuff out for other people. So this is kind of an overview and a gift guide. Hopefully it wasn't a total waste of your time. And yeah, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And I have a special video coming up. It is a clothing review. Filson and Weatherwool head-to-head. And, you know, I'm not doing any, like, ridiculous field testing with them or anything. I'm just going to be talking for the most part. I'm trying to work out one test I could do as far as water resistance. But, yeah, the Filson Jack shirt versus the Weatherwool CPO shirt. And hopefully I'll get that out in the next couple of weeks. So, if you made it this far, thanks for suffering through it. And, yeah, tune in for more pain and suffering.